Creamy Media's Mining Weekly is speaking to Arnie Fransen, the managing partner and co-founder of the Pilanesberg Group. Arnie Fransen chairs the Sedibelo Platinum Mines Limited in South Africa's Northwest, as well as the New York and Toronto listed Novomont Graphite, which operates out of Quebec. Arnie Fransen has spent years co-developing a strategy to deliver a zero-carbon battery-grade graphite mine in Canada. And in South Africa, he's overseeing the expansion of Platinum Group Metals mine, Sedibelo, that is all set to be one of the greenest mines to date, with the help of the sun, the wind, and far-reaching new smelterless technology. Arnie, what new advances have been made in the renewable space at Sedibelo? I hear whispers of wind.
The wind is blowing indeed, that is right. And the sun is shining, two things of Southern Africa, that's for sure. We have committed now to a wind project. So we have signed the contracts and we will now receive electricity that is wind generated. And it will be for many years to come. It's the first step, and it is not on site, so it is part of the energy exchange. So that we will generate and we will have an allocation of wind-powered energy, which is renewable, green, and all of the good things that we want to. So that is already now in place. And then comes the next thing, which is the solar, and there. We will do something much closer to home, and we have Lyle Bethlehem as our Chief ESG Officer. She is in charge of our renewable energy drive, and she has some very interesting prospects of solar, but on our side. And I'm really excited about that, Martin. It will be a first step. It will be of significant size. And I like the combination of solar and wind, because quite often when the sun is not shining, the wind is blowing, and it's a very good combination, and it is also all about showing the clear intent, and the intent is, as you said, to make sure we can produce the greenest ounce of PGM available.
And then there's that smelterless Kell technology and the project to deliver that. What is it looking like? How far have you got with this project? When will it be commissioned?
Sure. The commission date, we are still negotiating, but we have done so much work, Martin, on this. This has now been going on for 10 years since we created, when Sedibelo was created 10 years ago, at the same launch at the IDC, we also launched our involvement with Kell. And we have done all the testing, all of the development together. And the key thing for us now is obviously from Sedibelo as the user, we would want it up and running as soon as practically possible. But we are also a co-owner of the technology in SADC. So for us, it's also about our bigger strategy. And our bigger strategy, Martin, is not only Sedibelo. We don't want to have found this magic potion and then only us can use it. I mean, that doesn't really work. That's not really the right spirit. So our philosophy is that we are going to build the first one at Sedibelo, but we hope then to roll it out much across the industry. And you can't have Kell without Sedibelo's involvement in SADC. So as you know, we are talking about nearly 90% of the world's PGM ounces are sitting in our beautiful part of the world, and that means that this has to be the home for Kell in respect of PGMs.
And Kell will be so important because it's smelterless. I mean, you're not going to draw on even your own energy that can be used elsewhere, but it seems like everybody in South Africa should consider this, given the Eskom situation.
Listen, there's no doubt that Eskom is putting a solid focus on Kell and a solid focus on on alternatives to burning coal. And I think that if we can both say that we are using the Kell technology, and by that lowering the level of electricity used by a factor, and then for the little bit of electricity we are using the power of the sun or the wind. It just sounds and feels right, Martin. And I think the world is ready for this now. And when we have been around especially in New York and other places in the US, they really get it there, and they really understand the significance of that. And I see it obviously in my other discussions around battery materials. The one company we have invested in, Talon Metals, I mean, they received $115 million from Uncle Sam. So that's like nearly 30% of our development cost. And that is simply to make sure that we are producing green, sustainable, here we talk about nickel, but it can be any other products. And I think that is really critical, that the government steps up. And I'm happy to say that for 20 years, I've had a very good partnership with the IDC, and they've been formidable partners always. And they're also partners with us on Kell. And that is also a way that the South African government shows that this matters.
And are you saying that Kell could be spread to other metals, nickels, and everything else you're talking about?
Absolutely. But that is a discussion you need to have with Keith, who is obviously the inventor and the father of Kell. But absolutely, it's not limited to PGMs. And we obviously are focused on that from a Sedibelo point of view, but in Lifezone, it has a much broader application. At the end of the day, this is all about doing the right thing, being sustainable and being responsible in the way that we use our electricity. I'm sure there are many houses that would rather have lights and many other applications than to use smelters where there is a viable alternative.
Correct. What steps do you envisage around ensuring green mobility at Sedibelo?
It's not much further off, Martin. We have committed as a company to that vision. We have a team that is looking at the green hydrogen initiatives, and for sure the entire hydrogen highway kind of concept that is being introduced, we want to be right in the middle of that. I think that maybe not in the next 5 years, but if you take like medium terms, this is going to be very important, and not only for the mining industry, but for South Africa and neighboring countries as well.
Absolutely. And how are things going with decarbonization and on the decarbonization front at your operations in Canada?
It is going tremendously well. I mean, we have obviously signed long-term agreements with Hydro-Quebec, which means that all electricity we are using is hydro-generated. So as green as it comes, and the water flows 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. So it is the most reliable source of energy. We have in our nickel operation start focusing on carbon catchment and storage underground, which is different as well. But again, it's something that if you employ smart scientists and people with a little bit of vision, you actually have the ability to really make changes. And wouldn't it be wonderful if we as the mining industry could be a net contributor to the decarbonization and not being polluters? And I don't think that is far-fetched, and I actually think that is eminently possible and something that we should focus on achieving.
You're talking about carbon capture, storage, and utilization.
Yes, absolutely. No, listen, it's we all know the value of carbon. A lot you can do with it. It seems silly just to let it loose into the air and not use it. We for sure need to use it. We need to be smart in how we harvest it, how we store it, and how we reuse it. So for us at Pilanesberg, it has now become very important, and we have a team that exclusively are looking at recycling, and is also recycling of carbon, it's recycling of batteries, it's recycling of plastic. The entire mentality of reusing materials that had once been used, and carbon, in my mind, is a core element in that.
And so if we can just carry on with that theme, why do you regard this environmental friendliness as being absolutely essential for all your activities? Other people are looking maybe not as broadly as you. Why are you seeing it as so important to be fully green?
Well, I don't think you can enter the gray zone here. It's back to the question, Martin, that you asked me some years ago now, where you say, how can the mining industry become the darling of the investment community again? And we can do that by doing the right things. The consumer, at the end of the day, does not want to pollute if he or she can avoid it. We want to show that we can extract resources that can be used in the electrification and decarbonization, and that we can play an active part as well in dealing with the carbon footprint that others have created. We are dealing with big machines, super scientists, and all of the things. In some way, you just have to turn it around and actually use that to your benefit. And whilst at this point in time, I cannot point to that I will get a higher price for a green ounce of platinum. There comes a time, Martin, and I'm absolutely sure that it's something that we will see in our lifetime, where there's going to be clean and then there's going to be dirty raw materials. And if you can't demonstrate that it's clean, and clean is both vis-a-vis sustainability and pollution, but it's also about where you extracted it, how you extracted it, how are you treating the workers, and how is your entire value chain all the way to the battery. And it doesn't help that you say, I'm not going to drive around in a gas guzzler, but I'm going to have an EV. If the materials are not sustainably extracted, and equally important that once the life cycle is over, we will take the battery, recycle it, and put it back into the primary source again. And to me, it's a philosophy, and you can't do it half-baked. This is something that you have to commit to. And if you commit to it, I'm sure that the companies doing that will become the darlings of the investment communities. But beyond that, Martin, we're doing the right thing for our kids. This is the right thing to do. And one day they will ask us not, why did we do it so late? But they say, why did you not do it at all? And we can say, no, we did. And I think it's a responsibility that we in the mining industry has.
That was Creamer Media's Mining Weekly, speaking to Arnie Fransen, the co-founder and partner of Pilanesberg Group.